We want to be able to repair with our kids. So sometimes we're going to have a rupture, a small manageable rupture. And that small manageable rupture is going to lead to a repair. And our child will then learn that, oh yeah, mommy sometimes has big emotions. She loses it. And when she loses it, she says, I'm sorry. And most crucially, we model to them how to say, I'm sorry, and to engage in repair. Three controversial child psychologist beliefs. Here are three things that I believe that a lot of parents are overemphasizing or doing wrong, and it's time to bust these myths. Number one, parenting scripts are a really bad idea. Don't use them, especially don't use them only. Two, gentle parenting all day, every day is not only realistic, it's not only unrealistic, it's also impossible, and it could even be harmful to your kids. Number three, always prioritizing your kids over everything else you're doing is a really bad idea. Hi, I'm Dr. Robin Koslowitz, YouTube's post-traumatic parenting expert. So today we are going to be busting some parenting myths that are really making parents feel very insecure about their parenting, very unsure of themselves, and very worried that they're causing harm to their kids. Do you have those worries? Have you heard that you should always be using parenting scripts? Do you worry that the words you use with your kids are sometimes not the perfect words? Do you struggle to be a gentle parent and find that you can't, and then you feel really bad about yourself because you can't do it all day, every day? And do you feel really guilty whenever you can't put what your kids want first, and you're worried that you're perpetuating some cycles and that you're continuing to harm them? That's what we talk about here. Please click subscribe below so you never miss another episode, because we're going to bust some parenting myths for post-traumatic parents. But first, let's understand something very important. If you are a post-traumatic parent and you have these thoughts, if you are trying to go from cycle breaker to cycle maker, and you're struggling with this, know that you are very normal as a post-traumatic parent. That means the fact that you're trying to parent well, the fact that you're trying to do it better than what you saw, the fact that your own internal working model of attachment and of parenting might not be what you want to perpetuate to your kids already means that you are somebody who is doing parenting well, because you are trying to parent according to your values. So if you found this video because you Googled something like gentle parenting, responsive parenting, cycle breaking parenting, trauma mama, something along those lines, that already means that you're trying really hard to break cycles. So congratulations.
Last but not least, I want to thank me.
Thank yourself, thank your instincts, thank your own psyche and your own system for trying to do it differently, and know that if you're on this journey, that's already a lot better than what a lot of kids get and what you possibly got growing up, or perhaps in your adulthood you kind of got derailed by trauma. So know that you are already trying, and that's a lot, because a lot of kids don't even get that. So that's amazing. So now let's unpack why I say, number one, that parenting scripts are harmful. So here's the thing with parenting scripts. The good news about parenting scripts is this idea that if you know exactly what to say to your kid, you can communicate to them in a gentle and responsive way that allows them to feel validated. So if a child, knocks over his sister's block tower, you might be able to say to them something like, I understand why you were really annoyed, or someone would get really annoyed at their sister and want to knock down their tower, right? I can understand that if somebody's being called mean names, they want to act out. But there are probably better ways to handle our mad than knocking down our sister's tower, right? That would be an example of a parenting script. Here's the problem with that. The overall premise and structure of the script is fine. You're validating the emotion, you're not getting mad, you're not punishing, you're showing the child, you're teaching, and you're modeling a skill instead of yelling and being reactive. But a lot of parents will tell me things like, I really struggle to remember the parenting script. I'm trying to remember the words I'm supposed to use and I can't remember them. Here's the thing. If you're trying to remember the script, then you are not right then and there present with your child. You're not attuning. You're not really providing that co-regulation experience. You're attuning to the script. Instead of attuning to the child in front of you, you're trying to remember the words. Dan Siegel, in one of his books, talks about trying to parent with one side of your brain. And when you're using a parenting script, you're parenting with one side of your brain. You're using your left prefrontal cortex. You're using the part of your brain that processes and remembers language and linguistic cues. You're using that part of your brain only, and you're not using your entire brain. So he says that parenting with one side of your brain is like trying to swim with one arm. Right? You can't do very much trying to swim with one arm. You need a parent with both sides of your brain. You need the right side of your brain. You need your emotions. You need your body. You need your felt sense of what your kid's feeling, not just the words. So my worry is it's not that the words in the script are bad. If those words come to you unbidden because those are the words you want to say, those are great words to say. But if you're trying to remember the words, and in trying to remember the words, you're kind of forgetting to attune to the child because you're trying to say it right, then you're not really saying it right. You're literally not the parent, you're playing the parent on TV. I know myself, I've been in plays and I've been in, and I've known like those first times when you're basically reading straight from the script and, it's like, Sarah, oh, whoops, I'm not supposed to say Sarah, I'm just supposed to say what she says, right? And then you're trying to say the script, and then you get better and better until you go off book, and then eventually you lose that rehearsed quality, and it actually sounds like you're Sarah, and you're saying the lines that Sarah would say, or Juliet, or Romeo, or whatever part, Macbeth, whatever part you are, right? And you literally sound like that person. That's the goal. Those words have to become internalized. So the attitudes that gentle parenting and parenting scripts give us, fabulous. I want to validate and connect first. I want my child to not feel like I'm in trouble, but that instead I'm a calm, stable, secure, safe presence that's going to help him deal with the situation. I want him to feel safe and soothed with me. And then I want to say something about, your emotions are getting very big. What are some other ways we can handle big emotions? Do you need a pillow to punch? Do you need a squishy? Do you need a hug? Do you need to go somewhere so that you can calm down until you're ready to come back out? Maybe we want to color, right? There's a lot of things that I can say to my child to give them an alternative and to give them a better option of what they can do. So the premise, that's great, but trying to remember the words of a script is going to make you automatically not be present, and it's going to automatically make you, what you're trying to do then is parent only with the left prefrontal cortex. Your kid needs all of you, not just your left prefrontal cortex, not just your words. It's also, by the way, kind of unrealistic, because have you ever actually heard a 3-year-old say, "Yes, Mommy, upon mature reflection, having heard your argument, I do indeed agree that I should not push my sister because she called me poo-poo face," right? Yeah, doesn't happen. The kids' language processing skills aren't all that great. So the way you said it and the way you structured it is not nearly as important as the prosody of your voice, which is like the music of your voice, the calmness, your body language, the way you're talking, like, "Oh, you're so upset. Your sister called you poo-poo face. You don't like being called poo-poo face. Your emotions are very big. You don't like that at all. You are so upset right now. You are mad. That's okay. Let's figure out what to do about it," right? And if they're a little older, we can tell them that anger identifies a problem. It sounds like the problem is being called poopy face. Can we tell our sister, will you say to your sister, I don't like it when you call me poopy face, don't call me that, right? We can model a skill. We have a lot of options. So the techniques that a parenting script give you, they're not bad. But trying to remember the words of the script. So the mom who DM'd me and says, I try so hard to remember the words of the script and I never remember them. Is there a way I could download an app into my brain and I'll remember the words of the script? Calm down. You don't actually have to remember the words of the script. It's not the words. It's the musicality of the voice, it's the body language, and it's the validating, joining, soothing, being that safe adult and not being punitive, like whack because you whacked your sister, so I'm gonna hit you. How do you like being hit? That's the key, not the actual words of the script. I hope that's a huge relief off your back. Okay, number 2. Gentle parenting all day, every day is unrealistic and possibly harmful for your kids. So I am not saying that we should not be as responsive as we can be in our parenting. I'm not saying we shouldn't try to be as gentle as we can in our parenting. Of course, we should. But if you occasionally lose it, if you occasionally get mad, if your kid sometimes sees that you're tuning them out to dissociate and scroll your phone for a bit because you're frustrated and you'd rather do that than hit them. If you're sometimes, you sometimes forget that you're trying to gentle parent and you punish, which I don't really believe in punishing, but you get harsh, you get frustrated, and it happens. Nothing so terrible is gonna happen because we forget, especially as post-traumatic parents who really want to break cycles, we forget that it's not the rupture, it's the repair. We want to be able to repair with our kids. So sometimes we're going to have a rupture, a small manageable rupture. And that small manageable rupture is going to lead to a repair. And our child will then learn that, oh yeah, mommy sometimes has big emotions. She loses it. And when she loses it, she says, I'm sorry. And most crucially, we model to them how to say I'm sorry and to engage in repair. Now keep in mind, the crucial thing you need to know is saying I'm sorry does not imply that the child needs to forgive you, because that goes into the realm of people pleasing. You can say I'm sorry, mommy's emotions got big. My emotions got really big and I yelled at you and I shouldn't have. I should have handled my emotions differently. And your kid's like, well, I don't care and I hate you and I'm never gonna forgive you and I don't love you anymore and you're the meanest mommy in the world. You don't need to run after them and say, no, please forgive me, please forgive me. You don't need to do that. What you do is you say, I hear, okay, noted. I am your mommy, I love you. I really am sorry that I did that. And then you move on. The function is to show them how to apologize, to show them that you value engaging in repair. And sometimes they're not gonna repair with you right at that moment. Sometimes it's gonna take a day or two. I remember one time having that kind of thing where my kid was like, that's it, I don't love you anymore, right? And I am so sorry that you're so upset, and I'm so sorry, not that you're upset, because that would be like, I'm sorry that you're upset, it has nothing to do with me. Sorry I did that. I'm sorry that you're sad. I really didn't mean to make you sad. Shouldn't have let my big emotions get that big. I shouldn't have lashed out the way I did. I'm so sad that I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry. Well, I don't love you anymore. Okay. I hope we can fix it one day, but I understand that right now you're very upset. And my little daughter, she was about 5 at the time, looks at me and she goes, I think I'm gonna love you again in 5 minutes. Like, okay, I will look very forward to the in 5 minutes when you are gonna love me again, right? And that's it. We don't have to get the child's stamp of approval that now they forgive us and it's been repaired. Overall, as we work on rupture and repair, and as we work on rupture and repair, the overall quality of the relationship, as the relationship is more responsive than not, as the relationship is more gentle than not, as the relationship is more kind than not, the child learns that they're being parented by an imperfect human who sometimes messes up and sometimes gets upset and sometimes handles that wrong, and that's okay, because that same imperfect human also wants to improve and also wants to do better and also is going to engage in a repair process with them, and it will all be okay. So if you're not gentle parenting all day, every day, and you sometimes mess up, that's actually maybe a good thing. D.W. Winnicott, who was like sort of one of the fathers of attachment theory and one of the fathers of this concept of like object relations and how we mentalize our attachment to our parents so that we end up with that internal working model, right? He's the one who thought of like the idea of the transitional object, like the comfort blanket and things like that. He used to say that the concept of the good enough parent, that a mother doesn't have to be perfect. And his other famous line is, even the beneficial is toxic in the excess, meaning like vitamin D is good for you. Too much vitamin D can destroy your liver, right? That kind of idea. Perfect parenting is toxic because perfect parenting is the excess of gentle parenting. The child does need sometimes to see rupture and repair. If you're parented by a perfect person, how do you ever learn to tolerate your own imperfection? So that rupture and repair process is actually necessary because that's part of healing. The third post-traumatic parenting controversial belief that I have is you do not have to drop everything every time your kid wants something. I hear this, I get DMs all the time that like my kid wants something and I didn't drop everything, and am I a neglectful parent because like I gave my kid screen time and I had to get other stuff done, or my kid wanted me and right then it wasn't a good time and I told them that they have to wait, and then maybe they're feeling abandoned and neglected. Honestly speaking, you still, even when you're a parent, and yeah, you're the attachment figure, you're the only game in town, you're the most important person to them, you and to some extent whoever your parenting partner is, you are the important people. The human psyche is wired to attach to a few caregivers very closely to create a sense of stability and security. So yeah, it's true, all of that is true, but that does not mean that you always have to drop everything to be there for your kids the instant they ask for something. And that even goes for sometimes when they need you. You know, like my kid is doing math homework and they literally don't know how to go on, but I am in the middle of cooking dinner and I need to get it into the oven so that it can cook, so that the whole family can eat, you know, in an hour. There is nothing wrong with saying to my child, I get that you really need me. You're gonna have to wait because I need to finish doing this task first. They're not gonna feel abandoned, neglected, alone. Somehow there's this idea that, you know, we have to run and drop everything to show them that they're the most important person to us. We certainly want them to know that they're the most important person to us. We certainly want them to feel supported and secure and like we care and that their distress bothers us. And this goes from like the infant period through the teenage period, through the young adult period. We want them to know that we care, but that doesn't always mean dropping everything instantly to supply their wants and needs. Sometimes a child has to wait. Even a child who has a legitimate need. I'm not talking about waiting forever. I'm talking about, you know, I think I know this because I was the mother of twins. And when you're the mother of twins, you're going to have two babies. Sometimes you're alone with the twins and you're going to have two babies crying. And both of them have a legit need. You're nursing one, you're trying to calm one, you're feeding one, you're burping one. The other one has a dirty diaper. And you can't. If you put down the one you're in the middle of feeding, they're going to shriek. If you leave the baby in the dirty diaper, they're going to cry. It's very nice to be like, yeah, so get help, get support. Sometimes you have help, sometimes you don't. That's the reality of life. Sometimes it's 2 a.m. and even all the people who offer to help just are not there. So if the human body is capable of producing multiples, twins, triplets, right? If nature has us have babies in sets of two sometimes, or two babies very close together, a toddler and an infant, then it's a natural thing that a baby sometimes has to wait, even with a legit need, right? And they're not going to be traumatized as long as the most important thing in that situation is noting what's going on. So if I'm cooking dinner and my 3-year-old really wants my attention, I can say, like, I see that you want me to come over. I'm coming soon. I see you over there. You really want me right now. And I'm just going to finish putting this in any minute now. We're almost done. It's almost in the oven. So I'm going to narrate to give them the conceptual bridge that I am coming soon. and like relief is in sight, but I'm gonna first like slide this into the oven, right? I'm changing your, baby brother's diaper, so I can't change yours right now, right? So I'm gonna narrate my noticing of their distress, but this idea that a parent has to drop everything the instant their child has a need, or their child is gonna feel abandoned, they're not gonna have good attachment, they're gonna be alone, they're gonna be traumatized, is so unrealistic and puts so much pressure on parents that I think that it's almost abusive to the parent. It doesn't surprise me that there was an article written about gentle parenting that was called The Ironically Harsh Realm of Gentle Parenting, because it can be really harsh on the parents. You can gentle parent most of the time. You can read a lot of parenting scripts and get the basic structure of it in your head. You can do your best to put your children's needs as front and center as possible and be very developmentally appropriate about their needs and about helping them without putting unrealistic pressure. And that does not mean that you're not breaking cycles, and that does not mean that you're perpetuating cycles of abuse. It simply means you're human and you are actually doing a fantastic job as a parent. If you like this video, please do me a favor, click subscribe below. Tell your friends about this channel, because the post-traumatic parenting community grows parent by parent, word of mouth. That's how we grew so big on Instagram. That's how the post-traumatic parenting podcast gets out there. So do me a favor, click like below, subscribe, comment, ask me questions. Are there other parenting beliefs that you've heard that you really want a clinical psychologist's take on? Let me know. I'll be glad to answer them. Check out the Post-Traumatic Parenting Podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. Check out at Dr. Kozlowitz Psychology on Instagram so that you can be part of the Post-Traumatic Parenting Project and you can help spread this message to the world. Till next time.